In Battlefield 6, we were introduced to a brand new game mode which was teased throughout the reveal of the game. Being something of a mix between Conquest and Breakthrough, Escalation starts out with all the typical Conquest objectives. However, the difference here is that you don't bleed the enemy of tickets, but instead build towards a score that earns you a point called a territory. And after either team earns a territory, the nearest objective to their headquarters is removed, shrinking the battlefield to a smaller engagement area, and more vehicles are added. To earn points or territories, you need to hold the majority of objectives, and the more you hold, the greater your score increases. And if you control all objectives, the timer moves a lot quicker. If both teams hold the same amount of objectives, a stalemate occurs after a short period of time. During a stalemate, both teams earn progress towards their meter at the same rate. The first team to 3 points will win the game, but typically these matches are very close. Most matches come down to a 2-all score, and on certain maps this will leave you with only 2 objectives remaining. At this point, a real yo-yo takes place of neither team being able to push onto the final objective, typically with the stalemate only being broken by a strong combination of using the armour effectively and good defence. Because unlike in Conquest, where you'll typically have an unguarded objective ready for the taking, since the map shrinks with each point, there is more defenders for each objective, and defending an objective becomes a lot more important in Escalation, and the ticker moves significantly quicker with the number of objectives over the opposing team. By the end of the match, it's more like Breakthrough, with each team fighting over 1 or 2 objectives, choke points being formed and a clear centre of battle being created. Teams start piling onto the objective to attack or defend, and it becomes a real meat grinder of a match. This mechanic of removing an objective each time hugely changes how the match goes, and creates a much more intense and claustrophobic experience. When an objective is removed, it can massively change the tide of the battle into the favour of the other team, and with each added armoured vehicle, the ability to make a push onto the objective is massively increased. Objectives can even be removed mid-capture. One time I made a big flank to the furthest objective, but since the enemy held the majority, midway through the capture it vanished and I had to retreat back onto the map. The overall combination of a wider, more tactical start to the match, followed by a tighter, more intense combat as the field shrinks and the objectives disappear, really creates a sense of a developing battle, and it gives you a real feeling of story as each team tries to hold on to a certain objective throughout the match. Conquest and Rush are staples of the Battlefield series, and while Conquest has remained as such for now, Rush has faltered as new game modes have been introduced and the map design has shifted focus. One of those new game modes is Breakthrough, first appearing in Battlefield 1 as Operations, and then in Battlefield 5 as Breakthrough. Now, in Battlefield 6, Breakthrough is a lot of fun. Despite some poor balancing on a few objectives, Sobek City and Mirak Valley being the 2 worst defenders, it almost seems impossible to push past the first objectives on those maps, which just kills the gameplay experience entirely. I think we'll definitely see a few changes coming to those 2, especially in the next patch. And for Rush, unfortunately, it is still a shadow of its former self. I have, of course, had some amazing times playing Rush on Battlefield 6. That feeling of making a big push towards the objective, arming the bomb, defending the bomb, all of that is still very much the same. Although I do feel with the new maps they are more focused on closer engagement and the combat moving faster as a whole. This is where Rush falls down, as sometimes it's nearly impossible to get near the objective, let alone arm it. Liberation Peak is the worst defender for this, especially since it's a sniper's paradise. There are so many long lines of sight straight onto the objective, and it just ruins the Rush experience as a whole. There are also some great smaller modes introduced to Battlefield 6, King of the Hill and Squad Deathmatch being the 2 most notable. Domination has always been a classic small game mode for Battlefield, and it's still the same here. It's a lot of fun to play, and I really enjoy these shorter matches when I don't quite have time for a longer 20, 30, 40 minute match. And DICE have already announced a new game mode as well. Releasing on October 28th, we'll be getting Strike Point. Described as a mode designed for 4-on-4 combat, Strike Point is an intense, small team tactical mode where a squad fights another squad across multiple rounds to capture an objective. There is only 1 life per round, so make it count. This makes me think of a kind of search and destroy for Battlefield, where it's important to stay alive and you can either go for the objective or aim to kill the other squad. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Reviving and support play will definitely be key in this game mode. Obviously the 4-on-4 setting means probably no vehicles, but it could also really change it if there was maybe 1 or 2 pieces of light armor being included, and I wonder how that would shift the focus of each match. DICE have also announced a limited time game mode called Sabotage, releasing on November 18th with the California Resistance DLC, although no details are yet available for that mode. Sabotage makes me think of something to do with an enemy team holding an objective and an attacking team coming to attack it to destroy it, maybe like Rush, but with a simpler objective, or maybe multiple objectives, maybe capturing a point and then trying to blow it up before moving to the next one. Again, no details available, so this is all speculation, but it'd be interesting to see what the mode is like when it actually releases. It's also interesting to note that they mention it being a limited time game mode, which would be a shame if it is a lot of fun, but it might well just be an adjustment on a current game mode. I would definitely like to see new game modes added, along with some classics. I know that air superiority is sorely missed by aircraft players, and Carrier Assault from Battlefield 4 is another game mode that could work perfectly in Battlefield 6. It was always so cool to storm the enemy's aircraft carrier after fighting across the various islands and utilising the attack boats. Although it was a slightly flawed game mode, DICE have already hinted at a naval warfare DLC, so maybe we'll see that at some point in the near future. Gunmaster is another game mode that isn't actually in Battlefield 6 that I would love to see. It's a good fun version of gun game, even if it's a squad gunmaster or team gunmaster or solo. It's a really fun mode to play and gives you a good chance to use a variety of weapons. We are also still waiting for the Battle Royale mode, although that's not something I typically have a lot of interest in. It could still be good fun to play, and I can definitely see it working well in Battlefield 6. It's interesting how long that mode is taking to be released, seeing as how popular Battle Royale modes typically are. It makes me wonder if they're waiting until the point where either the latest Call of Duty is out, or if numbers start to drop to then release the Battle Royale mode to try and pick them up again. Regardless whether or not you're a Battle Royale player, having more players playing Battlefield 6 simply means we'll get more content due to the popularity of the game. It does also hopefully mean that even if Battlefield 6 does start to die out, support will continue for Battle Royale so that players that do want to stick with the game can stick with it, and we won't have the same situation we had with Battlefield 5 where the game died out and support ended. A smaller squad versus squad, or maybe 3 or 4 squads version of Battle Royale, something like an exfil mode, could also be very interesting to see as well, especially if it was designed for the maps we currently have in Battlefield 6. And there is of course Portal, where players can design and create any game mode that they can imagine. So far Portal is off to a pretty rocky start, with most servers being used for bot and XP farms, which personally I do think is a shame. Although the majority of the challenges for later unlocks are absolutely ridiculous, I think it's a shame to see people so early on in a game simply going in just to get XP score and unlock the latest weapons rather than actually enjoy the game. Aside from that, however, I have already found a few good game modes within Portal. I've enjoyed a version of Gunmaster or Gun Game, which was good fun, and I have seen some more interesting modes, as well as of course the remake of Shipment. And hopefully as Portal grows and develops, we'll see some more interesting game modes and maps, and maybe I'll do a showcase of some of my favourites. So far I think Battlefield 6 is off to a fantastic launch, and I'm really enjoying it, and I love the fact that we do have more modes to play than simply just Conquest or Breakthrough. Although I think there's quite a few patches to be made, and obviously a few adjustments to certain maps, I'm definitely excited for what's to come next, and I'm looking forward to the new modes being added. So, what are your thoughts on the current game modes available for Battlefield 6 and about Escalation? Is there any game modes you'd like to see in DLC, or any game modes you think are missing from previous games? Is there a game mode from a different game you'd like to see come across to Battlefield 6 and be reworked to better fit the Battlefield format? Please let me know down below in the comments. So thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. This is a very small channel and I would really appreciate any support. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.